Hola, soy Stephanie. Te invito a que compres sus productos latinos aquí en Perla. Abierto desde las 8:30 de la mañana los 7 días a la semana. Aquí en Kensington Market.
Hey everybody, I'm really glad to be with you today. We're shooting this piece on April 4th, which is Refugee Rights Day. And this is a day that's honored right across Canada. I wanted to bring you news today from No One Is Illegal. There are chapters of No One Is Illegal right across the country, of course, in Montreal and in Toronto and in Vancouver, the West Salish Territories, Vancouver Coast Salish Territories. One thing I wanted to let you know is you can find more information about all I'm about to talk about at the Toronto No One Is Illegal website. So you can mark down in your calendars or on your internet toronto.nooneisillegal.org. So I'll send you to that website where you can find more information about everything we're going to be talking about today. And I'm going to refer to some notes, so forgive me for looking up and down. But I want to bring you some information from No One Is Illegal right across the country. Recently, Minister of Deportation Jason Kenney issued a press release denouncing No One Is Illegal. So clearly, No One Is Illegal is having a lot of impact, and they've been very successful in their organizing because ministers don't usually issue press releases denouncing what you're doing as an organization unless you're being very effective. Kenney denounced No One Is Illegal as not simply another noisy activist group, but hardline anti-Canadian extremists. This is very, very dangerous language for the minister to be using. This is the same kind of language that we're seeing applied to environmental justice groups that are trying to, and Aboriginal groups that are trying to intervene in the planning of the Keystone Pipeline and in the planning of in the Alberta oil sands, the tar sands, any environmental justice group that has spoken up against the exploitation of the earth, the plans to put dangerous pipelines right across the West. Any opposition to that has been denounced by this government as extremists. They throw around words like domestic terrorists, and it's really important for us to stand up to this, and I really want to applaud No One Is Illegal for their efforts because we have a right, of course, to protest in this country. We have a right to bring a different point of view, and we have a right to intervene at committee and through lobbying when the government is doing things that are harmful to the environment, harmful to Aboriginal peoples, harmful to migrants and other people in this country. So we've got to keep up that fight and not be put off by these kinds of insults and these kinds of labels that are put on us as activists. This is the same kind of stuff we saw during the G20, of course, as well. But it's really important for us to be speaking up right now about migrant justice issues and to join No One Is Illegal in their efforts because the Minister of Deportation has recently tabled Bill C-31. This has been dubbed the Refugee Exclusion Act. Of course, the government doesn't call it that. But this act, Bill C-31, seeks to do many, many harmful things and roll back progressive policy on immigration, and rather than improving the situation for migrants to this country, Bill C-31 in fact undermines rights. So I just want to tell you about some of the ways that it does that and then let you know about things that you can do today on April 4th, but also right into the future. This bill is currently being considered by Parliament. So No One Is Illegal, and activists are concerned about changes that are being proposed under Bill C-31. Under the Harper government, already to date, citizenship rejection has doubled. 83,382 people have been deported, and 72,000 more have been arbitrarily detained. Temporary workers have overtaken permanent residents as we see our government move to consider international migrants not as people but as a labor force, as units of labor. And we've seen policies that make this very, very clear, policies that deprive temporary workers of their rights, limit them to working in this country for 4 years and then sending them back home, taking money from them that goes into EI, CPP, and other benefits that they should be able to take advantage of, but that they are excluded from. So along with the exploitation of the temporary workers that do come here, we're seeing our government, in fact, regard immigrants as nothing more than labor to be used in the jobs that people here in Canada won't do because the conditions are so harsh, or because the conditions are so exploitative. So this is something that we need to be aware of. We also have seen that refugee acceptances have decreased by 25% since the Harper government came to power, and there is a moratorium on sponsoring parents and grandparents, further cementing the fact that they do not see immigrants as people deserving of good jobs, good living conditions, and the ability to reunite with their families, but rather as temporary and in some cases, many cases, slave labor. So refugees that really need protection when they come to this country, refugees that are escaping situations in their home countries, often caused by Canadian and other Western power activity in those countries. For example, many, many people in South American, African, Asian countries are displaced because of the activities of Canadian mining companies. I learned yesterday that Canada is actually home to, there are 75% of international mining companies are actually Canadian, many of them based here in Toronto. Mining companies and agribusiness are responsible for the displacement of millions and millions of people around the world. Many of those people in desperation make their way to Canada. They come individually, they come in boats and groups, they come through the United States, they come many different ways to this country. Our government right now is tabling legislation that would incarcerate many of those refugees for up to a year for no reason other than they are refugees. They create notions of illegal immigrants, people without status, when in fact people fall out of status in this country for a wide variety of reasons, usually having to do with not getting documentation in on time, not being informed about what they're supposed to do, and other kinds of reasons that have nothing to do with illegality. So it's the other things that we got to remember that this government has done recently is they have authorized the Canada Border Services Agency to surveil and trail and stalk women who are women without status in this country, women who are trying to escape violence. Canada Border Services agents are authorized to follow those women even into emergency shelters where they're trying to escape violence. Many policies of the government that will trap women, particularly refugee women or women without status in their homes, even if those homes or those workplaces are abusive. It's really important to note that this government has also reserved the right to revoke permanent residency status from people if they desire. So we now have temporary permanent residency in this country, which is as ridiculous and as problematic as it sounds. But the government says, for example, people who get married or become partners shortly before coming to this country must stay in that marriage for 2 years, no matter what the conditions are of that marriage through 2 years. 2 years may not sound like a lot of time to Canadians, but it is a very, very long time if you are trapped in an abusive relationship. So these are the kinds of policies, some that we have heard more about, some we have heard very little about, that this Canadian government in our names is taking on and proposing that will punish migrants. So we've got to step up and we've got to say no to this. We've got to let the federal government know, and the minister, Jason Kenney, know that we will not stand for this. And today, April 4th, No One is Illegal right across the country has initiated many different actions that people can take. I won't go through them all, but they do involve using your Twitter account, using Facebook, using other social media to let the minister know what you think about about Bill C-31 and the Refugee Exclusion Act, and what you think about his policies and their actions towards migrant peoples, people without status, and refugees. So go to toronto.nooneisillegal.org and read there about all the different things that you can do. You can change your Facebook profile. You can send multiple tweets. You can also send a letter to your MP. You can sign on to petitions that are being sponsored by Amnesty International and others, and you can find lots more information to inform yourselves about these issues and take action. One of the things that No One Is Illegal in Toronto is sponsoring in the days coming up on Thursday, April 12th at 6 p.m. at the Friends Meeting House. That's 60 Lowther Avenue in downtown Toronto, very close to the Bloor and Spadina subway stop, also very close to St. George subway stop. So on that day, Thursday, April 12th, there is a forum called What's Bogus About the Conservative Immigration System. It's a community forum and a call to action to axe Bill C-31. So if you're in the downtown area and you're able to attend that, please do. April 12th, you can find out more again about what efforts are being taken to organize against this evil bill. This act that would really authorize the exploitation of migrant peoples and authorize the splitting of families and really cement very many regressive policies. So let's get together on April 12th. Let's go to toronto.nooneisillegal.org and find out what we can do. Let's tweet the minister. Let's Facebook. Let's send messages to our MPs letting them know what we think about this. Just want you to know, for those who might need it, that on April 12th, What's Bogus About the Conservative Immigration System, on-site childcare will be provided, and it's wheelchair accessible, and it's a really great meeting space at 60 Lowther Avenue. So I will see you there. It's co-sponsored by the South Asian Legal Clinic of Ontario and Toronto No One Is Illegal. So let's take action. Let's step up. Let's not be intimidated by a government that refers to anyone who decides to question its policies, anyone who decides to stand up against this exploitation and these kinds of policies. Let's make sure to let them know that we don't care if they call us extremists. We don't care if they call us domestic terrorists. We don't care if they call us every name in the book. We will not be silent. We will stand up against this intimidation, and we will stand up for people who are in much more precarious situations than we are and do not have that ability to speak up. Let's do that and make this country truly a country that is a haven for people who are escaping violence. Let's also act in all of the ways we can for environmental justice, support Indigenous activists, support migrant justice activists, support climate activists, because we've got to remember that a lot of why people are forced to come to this country are because of the policies of our country and other countries like ours in lands in Asia, in Africa, in South America. So let's step up. I'll see you on the 12th. Thanks.